It is a buyer's market. The script is officially flipped, Jack. What were 10 months ago, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 over sticker? For a lot of makes and models, the deals are even better now than they were pre-COVID.
What's up, guys? I'm Nobody Special, and I've got my friend Tom Palella, the founder of Car Concierge Plus, is back with us today because it's been about 7 months since we talked about the car market. And boy, has there been a change in the tides in the auto market and what people are paying, what the dealers are charging, the deals to be had. Tommy, how you doing today, brother?
I am doing great, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing really good. And, you know, the last time we talked, it was August of last year, right? I think August 10th. And I remember I got great feedback from that interview, by the way. I know a lot of people went and used your service. Guys, if you don't know, Car Concierge Plus is a nationwide car negotiation service. Tommy buys all my cars. I loathe the traditional car buying experience. I don't like negotiating with a predator in a silk tie and all this stuff going on used car lots. I call Tommy, I tell him what I want, and he does everything. I just show up and test drive and walk away, and then Tommy tells me when it's time to sign. That's how I buy cars. And I got some great feedback from a number of viewers who went through your service after our last discussion. And the last time we talked, Tommy, cars were selling for thousands of dollars above MSRP. And the takeaway was, if you can wait, wait. That was in August. Now here we are a few months later, beginning of March. What are you seeing out there? You buy a lot of cars. So what's going on in the auto market now?
The script is officially flipped, Jack. I mean, I can't believe it was only 7 months ago. And I came on your channel, and you know, a lot of your followers were like, well, you know, you do this for a living. You told people not to buy a car right now. And I said, listen, I give the best possible advice. If you could hold off buying a car back then, that was the right move. But now it is a buyer's market. I don't want to say it's back to what it was pre-COVID, but for a lot of makes and models, the deals are even better now than they were pre-COVID. It is an aggressive buyer's market right now across many of the brands.
And I got to give you credit for that because, you know, my viewers are right. I got smart viewers who are like, hey, you know, you make money by helping people buy cars, and you're going on the internet and telling people don't buy a car if you can afford to wait, which you were kind of shooting yourself in the foot there. But that does speak to your credibility that you're out there to save people money. And the message was wait.
I've been in business 11 years, Jack, and this is a relationship built business. I mean, you're in essence hiring a stranger to do a car deal for you. And if 7 months of waiting was going to net my clients several $1,000s more, it was the right advice to give at the time.
Yeah. Now you sent me a couple of talking points, and it sounds like, you know, that wait is over. So something you mentioned, you talked about addendum stickers have gone away. Could you tell us a little bit about what addendum stickers are and what's going on?
Yeah, so many of your viewers probably experienced this if they were in the market, but about a year and a half ago, even up until 10 months ago, you would walk onto a lot. You would walk, let's say, onto a Kia dealership lot, and across every make and model, you would see these big, bright orange stickers, right? Historically, in the past, those would be discount stickers, right? You'd see the MSRP, there'd be some big dramatic red line through it, and, you know, go in the showroom, you could buy it for this today. It was actually the opposite. They were called addendum stickers. And I do give dealerships credit. It was a bit of a money grab, but you would see the MSRP for the Kia Telluride was $47,000. And then there would be a $14,000 plus addendum. So that 47 now became 61, and taxes and everything. Now you're buying a $47,000 car for $66,000. And people would say, well, I want that gray Telluride, and they're not singling out Kia. And they would say, okay, it's $14,000 over what that sticker price is. And people would say, well, I don't want to pay that. Be like, well, that's okay. I hope you have a wonderful day, sir, ma'am. And that was it. There was no negotiation. If you wanted that gray Telluride, you were paying $14,000 over sticker.
So they were having usually you see a special 30% off, 20% off. During COVID, they were saying, we're having a big sale, 25% on.
It was I mean, for my clients that, didn't kind of heed my advice and needed and or wanted that car, I was still able to save them several $1,000s, Jack, using my services, just in the wrong direction. You would have thought that I, told them they won publishers clearing. I'd be like, sir, they wanted 14,000 over. I got it down to 5,000 over. And, for my $600-700 they paid me, the ROI was $8,000. You would have thought, like I said, they were doing backflips, but at the end of the day, they were still paying $5,000 in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I mean, it was straight up a seller's market, right? The chip shortage and, there's money was floating around. Interest rates were still kind of low. They hadn't quite risen. Although August, now they were about to peak by August. Rates haven't risen that much since then. But it was very much a seller's market. And apparently that's flipping now. So what are you seeing out there now? Whereas a few months ago, that Telluride was 16, 20,000 above MSRP. What are you seeing now?
Yeah, so there are certain makes and models that are still kind of retaining that market value, and we'll talk about used in a little bit, right? But for new cars, your Kia Tellurides, your Toyota Highlanders, your Chevy Tahoes, your Chevy Suburbans, what were 10 months ago $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 over sticker, a lot of dealerships have come back to reality, and you'll see them maybe. Most of them now are at MSRP, right? Which is a good deal, not a great deal. I don't want to pay full sticker price for anything in my life, right? But a lot of people have been so jaded seeing that $15,000 plus addendum sticker that they're walking in and going, okay, well, I can pay the MSRP because that's the manufacturer's suggested retail price. It's still not the best deal. There is plenty of markup in that car where you should not be paying sticker price for anything on any dealer lot right now, even if it is a super high in demand car like a Tahoe or Suburban or a Kia or something like that. But then there are quite the opposite. There are some brands out there right now that have such a surplus of vehicles, even dating back to last year, so like 2023 leftovers, Jack, where I don't want to single out Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, but I have to. Their Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe, right? The slightly electric version, the Ram 1500. I mean, I've saved clients in the last month, 2 months, north of $15,000, $17,000, $19,000 under MSRP. You're talking 20 grand off a 23 Ram pickup truck. You're talking 16,000 off one of the somewhat, hybrid electric Jeep Grand Cherokee E's. So if kind of that Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram is in that space of what you're looking for, that is really the brand to jump on now.
Now, do you think, is it any particular reason why the Stellantis models, the Jeep and the Ram, were they overproduced? Was there some kind of a production issue there? What makes you think those?
So, a lot of people bet on electric, right? There are some other models out there right now. There are like the Mercedes-Benz, kind of the EQE, right? The EV Mercedes-Benz, it carries a price tag of 100,000, anywhere from 95,000, 100,000. Some go as high as 120,000. Again, the savings on them right now is $25,000, even north of that, right? And I don't really recommend leasing right now. The programs are not super strong. The money factor and the interest rates are not really great. It's more of a buyer's market than a leaser's market, Jack. But you're talking about, a $95,000 Mercedes that you can lease for $1,000 a month. And I know, $1,000 a month sounds like an astronomical price for a car, and it is for a lot of people, right? For most people. But when you really break it down and get $100,000 car for $1,000 a month is stupid savings.
Yeah, it's a very good deal for a very expensive car. Although still,
correct.
I'm kind of cringing at $1,000 a month car payment. You know me, I'm a frugal individual.
But when you put it, when you kind of, I'm a very like visual person. When you think, okay, I can lease a cloth Hyundai Tucson for $400 a month with an MSRP of 30 grand, or $100,000 Mercedes for $1,000, the delta there is really kind of makes sense.
Yeah, night and day difference there.
And you're seeing, even dealers, they have so much inventory that they'll just kind of proactively market and slash the price online on their listings. Again, if you go pretty much to any Ram dealership site right now and look up a 23 Ram 1500, they'll just proactively say, minus 10,000, minus 12,000. And historically, you would only see that for marketing ploys, right? You had to be in the military. Your spouse has to be a teacher. You have to have, whatever these crazy discounts and rebates were that most people didn't qualify for. But this is just a straight minus 14,000 off the sticker price of a lot of these trucks.
Wow. And, besides the price slashes, you're starting to see things like some of the little incentives and the add-ons are making comebacks now too.
Yes, people love their free oil changes and they love their free tire rotations. And all of that really went away in the last year, 2 years as well, where, people, brands like, Volvo and BMW, the maintenance is included in a lease and things like that. But for a lot of folks, they that last kind of negotiation of, well, I want to know I get my first 3 oil changes for free or my tire rotations or pickup for my house or whatever it is. Dealers are actually feeling the need to compete against their competitive dealership set again, which is really a great thing to see, especially for somebody like me who does this. It's nice to know that the final kicker, besides saving my clients thousands of bucks, is also, I saved you another $300 in oil changes, which would have, equated to 3 or 4 oil changes over the course of the years.
And that's something that those little incentives, they were like nowhere to be found a few months ago.
Nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found. No, unless you were buying kind of that extended maintenance package, people were not throwing those in anymore because they didn't have to.
So more downward pressure on prices, and the dealers are maybe trying to get around that a little bit by offering some of these perks to avoid having to cut those prices. Again, another indicator that we're in more of a buyer's market here.
That's it. Yep. And Jack, something that's important to know, and that's not true of all geographical locations, right? For smaller markets, they still need to stay pretty tight to the breast of their margins, right? If you're in the middle of, not a densely populated area, a dealership's not going to have 40, 50, 70 Jeeps on the lot. Maybe they have 10 and they need to hold on to their margin and their profit, rightfully so. But I have a lot of clients now, people were also very wary about, I don't want to drive 2 hours or 3 hours to go get a car. But now when I show them and bring them kind of the final pricing and I say, okay, you stay close to home within 30, 50 miles, the price is X. If you're willing to drive to Chicago, Detroit, New York, wherever it is, you can save another $4,000 or $5,000. That 4-hour road trip, 5-hour road trip, justifies itself pretty quickly in terms of savings.
So if you're willing, it sounds like the urban areas, better deals to be had. So it's worth it to grow that radius a little bit. And I know the last few times I used your service, which I love your service, by the way. I've bought my last 3 cars through Tom. You had mentioned, what's your radius. And then the one that I ended up buying, it was on the outer edge. It may have even been a few miles beyond. And you told me, hey, stretch that radius, you'll get a better deal. And I remember while I was at the dealership, you knew I had gone for a long drive. And I remember after I had done the test drive, I said, yeah, that's the truck I want. And you said, do me a favor, go get a bite to eat or something. Sit still, because I know it was a long drive. I think I can get you this truck tonight, because you found out that my truck was going to an auction, that they had already submitted for an auction and that they already put the reserve price in there. So you knew the price this dealer was willing to accept. Plus you knew, hey, it was going to cost them $1,000 for the auction fee or whatever. So you were able to, you got me that exact price. And I didn't even have to drive home and come back. So, you were able to work with me on the drive. That was incredibly convenient. And that was in December of 2020, right before car prices went vertical. I remember I called you and I said, hey, it's December. Should I wait until January? Because, Christmas shopping and things, maybe the prices will go down. And you said, nope, do it now. Prices are going up. And I remember you said it without hesitation. And boy, were you right about that.
Yeah, I don't ever push my clients. If you told me no, I feel uncomfortable kind of moving this quickly. And for your viewers to know, I do that with all of my clients. I don't do it just because I know Jack and we were friends in college and, Jack has me on this show. I do that. I look at it where everybody works way too hard to spend another penny than they need to on a vehicle, right? It's a depreciating asset. Most of my clients are not buying classics that are going to go up in value. For some people, it's a functional tool to get to work, to keep your family safe, to drive to Disney, whatever. And then for some people, it's more of a passion purchase, right? For somebody like myself who loves cars and really loves the dynamics and the driving dynamics and everything else. Regardless what camp you're in, I look at pricing as I would only send you the price and the cars that I would send my own family members to buy.
And I'll tell you, I mean, you save me money every time. I mean, financially, your service pays for itself. But the ancillary benefits, the time it saves. Because, I spend a few minutes on the phone with you describing what I want. You send me the list of options. I spend a few minutes looking. You shave hours off of the time involved in buying the car. And my most recent pickup that I bought, you saved me probably days worth of time. Not to mention the peace of mind is a really big one, because I tell you, every time I used to talk to a car dealership, I never knew if I was getting ripped off or not. I just didn't know enough about it. And, having someone like you in my corner really does take that stress out of the car buying experience.
Jack, I remember that. I got my first car post-college, right? I was so excited. I went with my dad to the dealership. I got my silly little Honda Civic. Like, this should have been such a monumental day in my young adult life, right? And all I remember is driving that car home. This is a true story. And I looked at my dad in the passenger seat. I said, how do I know if we got a good deal? He goes, well, I don't know. You're happy with the payment, aren't you? I go, and this was 15 years, 20 years before my business even started. I remember it in my little two-door black Honda Civic driving down the turnpike in New Jersey. That sticks in my mind. I'm like, I don't know if I got a good deal. I was so, and a lot of people are so fixated on the monthly price that as long as that monthly price works, you really kind of go, horse blinders about everything else, and everything else they tried to sell you and tacked on. So I really appreciate you saying that. It is, right? Time is the most valuable commodity we have. It's a cheesy saying, but as somebody with a family and 3 little kids, and it really is true. And if it still amazes me, Jack, after 11 years doing this, how many people are so flippant and really the word is ignorant about the research before buying a car. They'll be out shopping on a Saturday and be like, hey, you want to swing into that Mazda dealership and see if we like it? Like, the second you drive onto a lot without having done your research, you are already, you've taken yourself out of kind of that leading, commanding, negotiating position. The only time you should ever step foot on a lot is for a test drive, which should be set up ahead of time, or to purchase the vehicle and you have the negotiated price in an email, printed out on a piece of paper, your interest rate. People will do more research on a vacation or a Dyson vacuum for their home than they will on a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 purchase. It amazes me.
Yeah. And I tell you, I remember being amazed by your research. We're going back a couple of vehicles now. But years ago when I found out the second baby was on the way and it was, okay, it's time for Jack to embrace the minivan life. I remember I was shopping for a minivan and you straight up told me after we had driven the one that we wanted and decided, we're like, well, I know there's an open recall on the sliding door motors on this van, so we're going to have them take care of that before you even drive it off the lot. And I remember, how does this guy know this? He just knows off the top of his head that there's an open recall on a Town and Country sliding door closing motor. You saved me a trip to a dealership to have that taken care of. Just these little things that are lurking in your mind that made buying that car so much easier. And I never would have known that.
No, I do. I love cars. I love the auto market. Ever since I was a kid, right? I've been a car geek. I wish I had kind of the technical know-how or the mechanical know-how. I can't fix a damn thing, Jack. But I read so many car magazines and blogs and Reddit posts, and I love everything about this. It's not all high-end stuff. My bread and butter clients are like you said, minivans and pickups and, regular sedans. And Yeah, it's fun once in a while. I have Lamborghini clients and Rolls Royce clients, and those are fun, right? It's a different kind of change of pace. And but I constantly, what I say is every first or second of every month is a financial automotive reset in my mind. The numbers that I knew for February were not the same numbers for March, and that is pretty true for every make and model. So a lot of people, it would be just an overwhelming amount of time and research to have to follow automotive market trends, right? How do you know that Kia Telluride selling in Akron, Ohio is different than in Detroit, Michigan? Like so I treat every kind of client, every new negotiation kind of as a fresh start, clean slate. Let's find out what this car is selling for and how we go about getting the best price.
Yeah. Now, that was a really good segue there because you mentioned the month-to-month changes in price. We have our CPI comes out tomorrow. That's our consumer price inflation or consumer price index. Sorry, I got the CPI acronym wrong. Last month, we had the January numbers came out in February. New car prices were basically flat, unchanged last month, 0% month over month, 0.7% increase year over year. That's below the rate of inflation in the rest of the market. Now, you mentioned used cars earlier because in the month of January, we saw a big drop in used car prices, minus 3.4% month over month for the month of January. Used car prices took a dive at the start of this year, at least according to the CPI math. Are you seeing that in your day-to-day?
Yeah. I mean, a year ago, I had so many clients that thought they were going to buy pre-owned until I showed them, okay, here's what a 3-year-old 30,000-mile pre-owned looks like versus something new. And in most cases, for many brands, the delta there was so small that they wound up purchasing new. But used car prices have gone down significantly since we last spoke in August. Now, what does that mean for in real terms of shopping? If you're in the market for a pre-owned car, it's a great time to buy. If you're trying to sell or trade a car in right now, no bueno, like not so good. Even those third-party companies, your Carvanas and your CarMaxes and all of those that were paying insane overpriced, thousands over what your car was worth, that has kind of dried up. So, I mean, I myself, Jack, I mean, we've talked about it. I'll never probably buy new again, right? I like the idea of a new car, but for certain makes and certain models, it makes sense for me to buy certified pre-owned. But I mean, the SUV that I'm sitting in right now, it was kind of like this, right? My warranty is up in October. I know all your viewers are cringing right now because they should say, well, you should be buying it cash. And if you can't buy it cash, then you can't afford it. But again, going back to family priorities, but my SUV has taken, it's painful to say, a $12,000 hit in the last 4 months. Like, wow. It makes me want to throw up a little bit in my mouth. But so what I'm doing is I'm trying to obviously, keep the mileage low, make an extra payment here too. So when October rolls around, at least I'll be kind of broken even on what I owe versus what it's worth. But it's rough for a lot of brands.
So that phenomenon of used cars becoming a good investment was very brief. It's right. It popped up in 2021, 22.
Very, very
you
brief.
You bought a car and then the dealership calls you. They want to buy it back from you a month later for more than you paid for it. And that's over, right? I mean,
that's over. I had clients that purchased a used car, drove it for a year, tacked on an extra 10 or 12,000 miles, and then traded it back in or sold it back and broke even, and in some cases even made a little bit of money. That is gone. But there will always be, they stand the test of time. I could probably rattle off 12 vehicles that they hold their value no matter what. Global pandemics, financial crashes, automotive stoppages. And again, I'm not tied or affiliated with any one brand. I don't get paid to promote any one brand, right? I am kind of agnostic, but your brands like Lexus, Toyota, Lexus SUVs, the Lexus GX, the Toyota 4Runner, the Toyota Highlander, even some Honda, the Honda Pilots of the world. Those cars just hold their value like no other. There is, you can get a 5-year-old Lexus GX right now. It's 60, 70,000 miles, and it's retained a lot of its value than when it was brand new. So, when you're purchasing a pre-owned car, it's important to keep in mind that nobody buys a pre-owned car for resale value, but you do want to make sure, if you're not going to own this out and have that title in hand, that when you go to trade it in or sell it in 3 or 4 years, you're not, taking a bath like I am. And who would have known, right? I thought, I negotiated the price. I got a wonderful price, way below what the market value was. I've maintained it well. It's accident free, services on time, super low mileage. It's just that the market crashed on certain brands, like anything else in life.
The car market was so dislocated in 21 and 22. Obviously, it wasn't going to last forever. Sounds like it has corrected violently in the recent past here.
It has, and it's exciting for somebody like me, Jack. Like you can tell I'm excited again because I've done my clients. I've still done them a great service over the last 2 or 3 years. But again, in my mind, when I closed my laptop at the end of the day, I was still in my mind negotiating in the wrong direction. So that, I gave you that example, the gentleman who had 14,000 over for the Kia Telluride, and I got him 5,000 over. It was $8,000 in savings, but again, just in the wrong direction. It didn't make me feel very good. Now I'm excited again. I'm not saying this to sound narcissistic. I've always been in the kind of driver's seat, right? When it comes to negotiating cars, I'm always going to get the best deal. I guarantee the best deal. But now, knowing that I can go back and shop it around to 4, 5, 6 different dealers and really kind of push them against each other, makes me happy again.
So, totally different picture than we had back in August. Now,
totally.
Tell me a little bit about electric vehicles. Is there any demand for EVs out there? Or do you sell many of those? Do people call you looking for EVs?
I do. I want to be mindful in the way I say this, right? Whatever we can do to help the environment is a thumbs up from me, right? That's not kind of a hippie statement. I think it's wonderful. I think anything we can do in the world to expand technology, to do some good in the world and save a bit of money is a win-win in my book. The flocking to EVs outside of Tesla, I think, don't quote me on this, you might have to fact check this, but I'm pretty sure that the Tesla Model 3 was the #1 selling vehicle worldwide last year, which used to be, that was never, I want to say it was like around 1.3 million that they sold, 1.3 million of these things. Tesla is a brand unto itself, right? And I say that it is a brand. People don't necessarily buy a Tesla Model 3 for the amazing driving dynamics or the interface, or it's actually quite it's a pretty simple design layout. It's not the sexiest thing in the world. People like being part of that brand. They know the charging stations. Tesla has become a bit of a, kind of a subdued status symbol. The other EV players that have joined since, they have not been flying off the shelf like everyone anticipated they would be. There's certain cachet electric vehicles like the Rivian, that $100,000 pickup truck. But I'll give you a good example. The Ford Lightning, right, which is the EV Ford pickup truck. I have a client right now that is in such an unfortunate position where he bought it brand new. He paid $10,000 over sticker. Didn't use me. That's why he's my client this time around. He is in the hole right now about $28,000 on a pickup truck that he can't get rid of if he tried. And I've tried to shop it around for him. There are actually a lot of Ford dealers that got back to me that said, we're not going to take or trade in a pre-owned Lightning. We have new Lightnings on our lot that we can't get rid of now. Why would we take on one with 30,000 miles?
Wow. So the Ford dealers won't even do a trade-in on their own EV.
No, I had, and this is true. Just this past weekend, I had 2 Ford dealers tell me, not only will we not take it in on a trade, we're not taking any EV trades anymore because we're moving away from being an EV related dealer.
Wow. And we're seeing the same thing, like the factory construction is slowing, the production numbers are coming in. What is it about pre-owned EVs? Is it the battery life, the question mark around them that they don't want to take them back?
It's the battery life. For buyers, right, it's that notion of, okay, I mean, an engine can go at any time, but you're going to have to replace those batteries somewhere down the road. Refurbished batteries are not cheap. For most of my clients, they ask me my opinion, right? I'm a big hybrid fan. Hybrid for right now, where we are in this kind of automotive life cycle of hydrogen cell and EVs and electric, hybrid really is kind of the sweet spot for me. Where can you get a Toyota RAV4 hybrid that gets 45 miles on the highway if you're a commuter and all-wheel drive, right? That used to be Prius territory. A hybrid is the sweet spot. And what I tell people is a lot of these EVs, they're saying they get 270, 280, 300 miles of charge. In real world driving, right? And we're located in New Jersey, and I'm using this as an example. Your commute to work, the speed limit's 65. No one is doing 65. You're doing, 70, 75, 80. It's freezing out in the morning, right? You're using 120 miles of that EV charge one way, what on paper should have been 70 miles. A lot of people, they tell me driving home, they have that range anxiety where, a year ago, 2 years ago, they pulled into their garage comfortably with 28, 38 miles, or miles left on the charge. And now they're kind of coasting in on fumes, right? The old gas term, right? Where it's saying like 4 miles left or 6 miles left. So the last thing I want to say is the technology is changing so fast that I tell people with EVs, if you want an EV now, if you're driving local, you're a 10-minute commute to work, brilliant. It's fantastic. For my long-term commuter clients that want this as a gasoline alternative, the technology is supposed to expand so much in the next 18 months that what would have been 300 miles of charge is going to be close to 550 miles of charge. There will be a bigger technological advance in EVs in the next 2 years than there have been in the last 12 years. And that's not me. That's backed by fact. Look at the new Cadillac Escalade IQ coming out, Jack, next year in 2025. And again, don't quote me on the numbers. I'm sure somebody's fact checking, but it's an 8,000-pound vehicle that's 800 horsepower, and it gets 500 miles of charge, 450 miles of charge. Granted, it's a very expensive vehicle, but the technology that Cadillac has been able to stuff into this monster SUV is amazing.
Yeah, I've read there's some significant advances both in range and charging times that are supposed to be just around the corner.
Yeah, this will not be I need to come home from work, plug it in, and it's going to take, a few hours to get me back to 100%. Or I need to go to the Wawa or the Buc-ee's or wherever you are in the country rate and charge this, and I need to sit there 18, 22 minutes to get to. This is going to be these super fast chargers that are going to be minutes, singular digits, in your home, at a truck stop, at a gas station, wherever it may be. So my opinion, I tell my clients, if you want to be a little more environmentally conscious, if you do have a long-term commute, get a hybrid for now, let the EV kind of technology develop a bit more and plan on a 2026, 27 purchase.
Fantastic. So Tommy, tell me a little bit if somebody wants to use your service, how might we find you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can go right to the website, carconciergeplus.com. There's a form on there. They can fill it out. If they don't want to fill out a form, they rather chat with me live. My cell phone number is on the website as well. We have a quick 5-10 minute initial call. You tell me what you're looking for. You have anything to trade in? Okay, it's got to be a gray Honda Accord. It has to have these features. I'm looking to get it in the next 2 weeks. My credit's not so stellar. What do you recommend? Right. And then I come back, I will find 5 or 6 of what you're looking for, send them to you. You say, yep, they all look good. And then I will negotiate the very lowest price. And here's where I differentiate myself from all other car negotiators, car brokers, whatever you want to call them out there, is that when I send you that email, once I know I have that final price, I send you that price in an email. I sign my name next to it. I then say, and it's in writing, if you don't think it's the lowest price and you want to go try to beat it, and you do, I will give you your money back. And some people say, well, that's a little marketing-y. It's a true statement. And I'm proud to say, Jack, in 11 years, I have had 9 people I've had to give their money back. 4 of them were very shady and they beat it by $1. And just to, stay a true business owner, I gave them their money back. But the other 5 genuinely beat it. They called probably 30 other dealers until they beat it by a few $100s. So I gave them their money back. But again, 9 times in 11 years. So when I negotiate a price, again, it's the price that I would pay or my family members would pay. And I stay true to that.
And then that's for your folks like me who hate to negotiate, hate haggling. Are you still doing the beat your deal option as well?
I am. It's a very small percentage of my clients do it, but some really love it. Where say you don't, you have the time or you have the kind of stomach and you like doing this, right? You're a weirdo like me and actually enjoys it, right? You can call 10 Cadillac dealers. You can get what you think the price that you're ready to pay. You call me, you go, okay, here, Tom, here's the parameters of the car. Here's the lowest price. I know for a fact this is the lowest I'm going to get. You give me 24 hours to try to beat it. It doesn't cost you anything up front. If I beat it by a significant amount, we split the price. You pay me 50% of what the savings are. And again, if I can't beat the price, at least you'll know you have the best price in hand. But 99% of my clients don't even want to go through the hassle of, shopping it around and visiting 9 or 10 different dealers.
But I know there's that guy out there watching who thinks he's the best negotiator in the world, and it sounds like it might be a little bit of a challenge to him. Go get your deal in writing and send it to Tommy, see if he can beat it. Doesn't cost you a penny if he can't.
No, you know what? I more than often, more not that often, I tell people, you know what? You have a phenomenal deal. I'm probably only going to be able to beat it by $500-700. It's probably not worth you hiring me, but they hang up that phone, and I can't tell you how many times that person has referred me to friends or family and colleagues who don't want to do the day's worth of research that person put in. So it's always I've come from the mindset over the last 11 years, Jack, that I'm never too important or too busy to take a quick phone call because you never know where it's going to result in.
And I had my buddy, a buddy of mine was looking at a really nice pickup last summer. And I remember this is what led to our first interview that we did.
Yes.
I couldn't talk him out of buying this car because, I knew like car prices were so high at this point. And he's like, oh, I got a great deal. I swear this is a great deal. And I don't know enough about high-end pickups to tell him one way or another if it's a good deal. I said, do me a favor. Don't do anything until you talk to my buddy Tommy. I gave him your number. I remember you told him, no, that's a better deal. That's the best deal you're going to get. Go buy it if you really want it, that you couldn't beat it. And that was he felt great knowing that he had an expert look at the deal and sign off on it and basically say, yeah, this is good. I can't beat this. So he felt great going into that. Real happy with the trucks.
I gave him big props and kudos. He negotiated a fantastic deal that was, well below what he should have been, he should have been paying. I was happy to pick up the call. And again, not just because, we're buddies. I do that for clients. Oh, my elderly parents are at the dealership right now. I think they're getting a good deal, but I'm not quite sure, can you tell them if they are? And I'm happy to do it.
And you've actually, with the beat your deal, you've actually had some pretty big wins in that over the years too, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. No, I have. When people usually call me for the beat your deal, I would say about 85% of them, wind up using my service and I'm able to beat it by a few $1,000s. There have been some monster ones just because, again, the lack of market research. I had someone buying a Maserati and he thought because he was buying such a high-end car that he needed to stay pretty close to the sticker on that. I wound up saving him $36,000 in savings. His jaw, if I could have seen him over our telephone conversation, he goes, but they told me in Miami that this was the best price I was going to get. And I said, well, shame on you. You believe them. I said, I know you made the silly reference and it was very funny about kind of like the silk tie, like early on, right? Like a lot of dealers, I should say, get a bad rap. They are not bad people. Maybe a little, I don't even want to use the word dishonest. They are not your friends. They are not your financial advisors. They are there to sell you a car for as much money as they can pull out of your bank account. If you're offended by that, you really need to take a step back. The only person that can pull money out of your bank account is if you allow them to. They didn't hack your PIN. They didn't coerce your children. You allowed them to tell you a price and you said yes to it. And again, shame on you if you agreed to it. That guy would have left $36,000 on the table to buy a car because he got so emotionally caught up in the color of all things. It was such a rare color. They convinced him that there's no possible way he could get a better price anywhere else. And he believed them. And, thanks to him, his family was super grateful. He picked up the phone and called me because he walked away, with a lot less coming out of his pocket. But on average, I mean, that's an extreme example, but on average, I'm able to save people another, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 better than what they've had.
Fantastic. Hey, money is money. I'll take it. Well, Tommy, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to give us this update on the market. Sounds like the car market just totally different animal than it was a few months ago. So if you folks have been patient and you've managed to hold off from buying a car, congratulations. The market winds have shifted in your favor. Now's not a bad time to go out and buy if you need to. And I'm going to throw a link down below to Tom's website. Again, this is not an affiliate link. I'm not being paid or financially incentivized any way here. I use this service myself. I happily endorse it because it saves me money and headache and time every time. Tommy is a stand-up guy, does a fantastic service. And I've heard from a number of viewers who have used Tom already who have all said nothing but good things about you. So thank you, Tom, very much for that. And I'll give you the last word. Any little parting words of wisdom or little negotiating tricks, tactics you want to share with us? I love when you give away these little tricks of the trade.
No, this is not even going to be, this is going to be, if you watch this and you are still on the fence and decide not to use me, I will not be offended. I implore you, if you are not going to use a professional and you think you can do this yourself, do your research, shop it around, walk into that dealership knowing 1,000% confidence that you have the best deal in front of you. And again, if you don't want to do any of it, you just call me and I save you the time and the money not to do it. So either way, it's an exciting time to buy a car. People are saving money again. So, happy car shopping, and hopefully I will be chatting with some of you soon.
Outstanding. Once again, folks, that is Tom Palella from Car Concierge Plus. Link down in the description to his website. Again, he save you time, headache, and money. And again, not a paid endorsement. I use this service myself. Tom, thanks again, buddy. And everybody else, until next time, live small and dream big.